Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock. It's time for another video, and today I am doing the Magic TV 2024 Blackpool Magic Convention Survivor's Guide. Everything you need to know about the Blackpool Magic Convention, but you were too afraid to ask. Here's the thing, the Blackpool Magic Convention is just around the corner. It's like Christmas for magicians. That's what the Blackpool Magic Convention is. It's Christmas for magicians. And I'm telling you right now, I get excited when Blackpool comes around. And every year I do one of these videos and they change on a year-to-year basis. Some of the information's the same, some of the information's different. Because every single year, new people are coming to Blackpool all the time. The amount of people who've said to me, I've never been to a Blackpool Magic Convention before. I've never been to a magic convention before. What do I need to know? What should I expect from the Blackpool Magic Convention? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to give you a whole bunch of points here. I've broken it down into two parts. First of all, some very brief FAQs that people have asked me, but then mainly I'm going to go through some advice. Now, before I start any of that, I'm going to say that the biggest thing is not to get overwhelmed. It is very easy to be overwhelmed at the Blackpool Magic Convention. It is massive. I don't care what convention you've been to before. If it's Magic Live, if it's the session, whatever, you have never seen anything the scale of Blackpool. It takes place in numerous massive rooms all over the Winter Gardens. There's multiple events on at the same time. It is impossible to see everything. There are so many dealers, you could literally just spend 3 days walking around the dealers and not see everything. And there's thousands of magicians there. You could be at the Blackpool Magic Convention for days and not see so many people you planned on meeting up with, because it's very easy and conceivable that you could miss them. There's numerous shows going on at the same time. There's competitions, there's performance situations, and then that doesn't even consider the amount of sessioning that's going on in the various different bars and cafes. There is a lot. It's easy to get overwhelmed. Please do not get overwhelmed. Just come being prepared to know that the Blackpool Magic Convention is pretty big. And unlike a lot of conventions, not everything takes place inside one venue. You know, I've just come back from the Session Magic Convention. I don't think I left the hotel. I think I went to the petrol station once. I didn't really leave the hotel. You can do everything inside that hotel. You don't need to leave the hotel. It's the same with Magic Live. Every year I go to Magic Live, I don't leave the Orleans. I don't need to. But with Blackpool, you are going to need to leave. You are going to need to walk around. It's very important for you to understand that. Not everything takes place in the Winter Gardens. There's a lot that takes place there, but not everything. And there's lots of other venues that people hang out in. There's the House of Secrets, which is one of my favourite venues. That's where a lot of people hang out in. There's the Ruskin. The Ruskin is kind of like the convention hotel, or the convention bar. It's open till like 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. But it's about a 5-6 minute walk away from the Winter Gardens. So there's things like that that you need to be aware of. So don't get overwhelmed. Understand that Blackpool Magic Convention is massive. And also understand that Blackpool itself, out of season, is a bit of a shithole. When it's in season, it's a huge tourist attraction. In the summer, it's a massive tourist attraction. There's tons of theme parks. People come from all over the UK to hang out at Blackpool. I love going to Blackpool in season, but out of season, it is honestly very, very, very quiet. And it's bad weather. It's a seaside town. So because it's a seaside town, it's bad weather, it's out of season. That's important to consider as well, because it's going to be rainy, it's going to be cold, it's going to be windy, you're going to freeze your arse off, and it's a bit of a crap hole. There's a lot of places that aren't open because a lot of the shops only open in season. There's a lot of places that are closed down for that very reason. In the town centre, there's lots of places that you can go, but understand that Blackpool isn't really the best indicative example of England in February, okay? But it means that, you know, it's quite cheap, which is quite good. But anyway, with that in mind, we're going to get into this. Let's start off with the FAQs. So first of all, the first question is, what ticket should you get? You know, I would suggest coming for the whole thing. Blackpool Magic Convention takes place over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A lot of people arrive earlier because there's stuff like there's an auction on the Thursday and there's various different meetups that happen. But realistically, the convention itself is on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You buy a ticket to the whole convention. You're going to get access to the whole dealer room. You're going to get access to the all of the shows, all of the lectures, the evening shows are fantastic. You're going to get access to all of that. It's like an all-access pass. You can get day tickets where you come just for a day and you just see everything on that one day. You can't really get a dealer pass, so you can't come along and just go and visit the dealers. You have to have a day pass if you're only coming to one day. I don't think there's any VIP tickets left, but that kind of gives you a few perks. But realistically, if you want to come for the whole thing, you want to get a full ticket. Next FAQ, hotel locations. Well, you know, Blackpool is a tourist seaside town. There's hundreds of B&Bs all over Blackpool. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great. You need to be very careful because some of them are terrible. You want to try and keep as local as possible to the Winter Gardens as you can, because you don't want to be walking around a lot in the freezing cold of Blackpool. So realistically, you want to try and keep it local to either the Ruskin, which is on Albert Road, or you want to keep it local to the Blackpool Magic Convention itself, which takes place in the Winter Gardens. If you stay in a hotel 15 minutes out, you're either going to have to walk into town to come to the convention, or you're going to have to catch a taxi. If you do catch a taxi, there are lots of taxis, there are lots of taxi companies, that's not a problem. Uber do not operate in Blackpool, but there are lots of taxis with apps that run on a very regular basis. But you don't really want to do that walk because it's really cold and you're going to be spending a lot of money on taxis if you're catching taxis to the venue and back every night. And the other thing is, there's lots of, it's a long day. Like, things can open at 9 o'clock and the shows can finish at like 10, 11, and then you've got sessioning going on to all the hours of the morning. And you don't want to carry bags around all day. So if you're staying quite far away from the Winter Gardens, you're going to have to be going back and forth. You might want to go back to your hotel room or back to the B&B in the middle of the day. So you want to try and keep your location as close to what's happening as possible. Also, there's a lot of cheap accommodation, there's a lot of more expensive accommodation. There are like travel lodges and places like that, but there's a lot of B&Bs that you can go and stay in, and it's actually quite relatively cheap to stay in those B&Bs. So that's something to take into consideration as well. And B&B, if you don't know, if you're outside of the UK, B&B stands for bed and breakfast. So you can go and stay in those hotels. I say hotels in the loosest possible term, but you can go and stay there and you can have bed and you can have breakfast, and that's all fine. But it is a very basic room. When me and Sarah go, we take the kids, we take the dogs a lot of the time. So we book like an Airbnb. We have a little house that we stay in. We stay in the same place every single time. It is about a 5-minute walk, which isn't too bad. But it means that we've got a whole house with a little back garden for the dogs as opposed to just a little room in a hotel. But yeah, so hotel accommodation, keep it as local as possible. I would suggest going on booking.com. There's hundreds of places that you can stay on booking.com. So next FAQ, what is the Ruskin? The Ruskin is basically the convention bar. It's where everyone hangs out. They hang out there, or the House of Secrets. House of Secrets is very small. It's right next to the Winter Gardens. The Ruskin is massive. There's multiple rooms. There's people outside, people inside, and it's the place where a lot of people hang out. I'll talk about the Ruskin more a little bit later on, but you definitely want to head to the Ruskin. You're going to meet the stars of magic, and they're going to be sitting down there right in front of you. It's where a lot of the sessioning and a lot of the networking takes place till the early hours of the morning. A lot of people stay in the Ruskin, but it's probably booked up by now, so you probably can't. But there are a lot of B&Bs nearby if you don't mind staying in like 2 or 3 star accommodation. But the Ruskin is where you're going to walk to when everything else is finished, and it goes on till the early hours of the morning. Next FAQ, how do you get there from an airport? Well, it depends on which airport you travel into. You really want to travel into Manchester Airport. That's quite a big major airport, and it's the closest airport to Blackpool. Blackpool itself has really good rail network. The UK, other than a lot of, at the moment we're getting a lot of strikes, but other than the strikes, there's a good rail network in the UK. So trains run all over the place. There are direct trains from Manchester to Blackpool. And you can get directly there very, very easily. There's trains directly from London to Blackpool as well. There's a lot of trains that go to Blackpool. Blackpool's got a decent train station, and there's lots of taxis because there's no Uber. There's taxis everywhere in Blackpool. So you can get to the train station and jump in a taxi, and that will take you directly to your hotel. Just make sure you have your hotel name. So I would suggest if you're flying in, come to Manchester. But even if you're flying into somewhere like Gatwick or Heathrow or Birmingham, you're still very easily going to be able to go to one of the nearer train stations stations to those airports and be able to catch a train directly to Blackpool. That's not a problem at all. Which day to arrive? Again, that's completely up to you. We'll talk about this more a little bit later on. Realistically, you don't want to arrive on the Friday if you can help it. It starts very early on in the morning on the Friday. So realistically, you want to get there before the Friday. Registration typically opens on the Thursday, and it can take a few hours to register and get your badge, and you can't really go anywhere until you've registered. So it's a good idea to register on the Thursday. And if you register on the Thursday, you've got your badge. It means you can walk straight in on the Saturday. On the Friday, sorry. There's a lot of meetups that happen on the Thursday as well. Just before I filmed this video, I saw that Tom Crosby is organising a nerds board game competition on the Friday night, the Thursday night, which sounds amazing. And a lot of people will be hanging around the House of Secrets and the Ruskin. So arriving on the Thursday is cool. I actually run my own meetup on the Wednesday called the Magic Podcast Meetup with Lloyd Barnes. It's kind of co-produced by myself on the Magic Podcast and by Jake Keane. On the Black Arts podcast. Lloyd obviously does the Black Art podcast with Jake and the Magic podcast with me, and we did it for the first year last year. It was buzzing. It was amazing. It's a great place for people to hang out and meet each other. If you're new to Magic, if you're new to the Blackpool Magic Convention and you want to meet up in a nice, safe place, it's at the House of Secrets. You can get tickets online, and we're doing that on the Wednesday night. And last year we had Pete Turner, we had Danny Goldsmith. It was so much fun. So if you want to come to the Magic podcast, the Black Arts podcast meetup, that's on a Wednesday night. I'm arriving way before that. I'm arriving kind of on the Friday because I'm having a few days away with the kids and the wife before the convention starts. But I'm going to be there on the Wednesday night, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And the final FAQ, the dealers. Should you take card or should you take cash? Well, that's a really great question. A lot of dealers, especially the international dealers, will only take cash or PayPal. They don't have card machines. There's a lot of the dealers that don't have card machines. Some do, some don't. Last year, it was my first real dealer stand. I didn't take card. This year, I am taking card. Last year, I didn't take card. But you know, if you don't have, if they don't take card, they'll typically have a PayPal account. There are cash points nearby, so you can go to a cash point. There's a cash point right outside the Winter Gardens. So if you see somewhere that only takes cash and you really desperately want something from their stand and you haven't got cash, it's a 5-minute walk to get some cash and go back. But ideally, you want to take some cash with you if you can, because having that cash is great because not everyone takes card. But if you've got PayPal, you can pay by PayPal. So those are the FAQs. Hopefully that's useful. But now I'm going to give you some advice, some really important points, some do's and don'ts about what you should do to get the most out of the Blackpool Magic Convention 2024. Okay, so point number 1, plan and coordinate. There's so much to see and do, it's impossible to just rock up and hope for the best. You've got an app. You can download the app for free. It's got access on there to all the timetables, the stuff that crosses over. You're not going to be able to see everything. Allocate dealer time, allocate chilling out time, allocate eating time, allocate sessioning time, and make sure that all of the things that you want to see, you can see, because you're not going to be able to see everything. And that's just the cold hard facts of it, unfortunately. So pick the stuff that you want to see, and make sure that you plan ahead of time and coordinate a schedule so that you've got time to see the Tealers, but you've also got time to see everything else that's going on at Blackpool. Piece of advice number 2, go to the shows. The shows that are on in Blackpool as part of the convention are some of the best produced gala shows in the world. Blackpool attracts the best of the best. You've got people, you know, this year like Matt King. I mean, it's just insane. You only normally see him in Vegas. The shows are amazing. It baffles my mind. I see so many magicians and I speak to so many magicians, and the second the convention's finished, they just go to the Ruskin and they don't see the shows. I don't care if you're only a close-up magician and you don't do stage magic. Honestly, watching those shows are incredible, and also what you will learn from watching those performers on that stage is massively transferable to a close-up magician. Some of the stuff that I do in close-up and some of the stuff I've created in close-up has been inspired by things that I've seen on stage. You know, we should always grow, we should always develop, we should always improve. There's very few chances to see the level of quality of acts that are going to be on the shows at Blackpool. So because of that, really go and see the shows. You can hold off on drinking at the Ruskin for a couple of hours. Go and see the shows that Blackpool produce because they are incredible. Okay, next one, set a budget. I'm telling you right now, if you do not set a budget and you just take a credit card, you're going to be wiped out because there is so much to buy and so much to see. It is very easy to drop thousands and thousands of pounds and end up with a bag of crap that you don't even know why you bought it in the first place. Set yourself a budget and be strict with that budget. Don't take an unlimited credit card. Don't take an Amex or something like that, or an Amex. Set yourself a budget, because if you don't, you will go into that dealer room and you will just end up spending everything and needing a second mortgage to bail yourself out. Okay, next one, point number 4. Do not impulse buy unless you absolutely need it. It is very easy to impulse buy. Now, a lot of the time at Blackpool, there are going to be limited numbers. So, for example, I'm releasing something through Alakazam. At Blackpool, it's going to be very limited in numbers because we've only been able to make 100 up. Now, if you see something and you really think that you need it in your act, by all means buy it, because if you wait until the Sunday, it probably won't be there anymore. But don't try and impulse buy on stuff that you don't know if you want or not, because if you impulse buy and then you regret it afterwards, you're stuck with it. Don't do it, okay? Like I say, unless you absolutely need it, do not impulse buy. Have a look at it and then go back and pick it up after you've thought about whether you actually need that prop. Again, it's about saving money and not just blowing everything on the first day. Okay, so the next point is make lists. And this is specifically to do with the dealers. I'm not talking about being organized and coordinate. I'm talking about making lists about the stuff that you do want to buy. So as you're going around the dealer hall, make notes, either in your phone or on a notepad, of the dealer and the trick that you like. Because I guarantee you there's going to be a ton of stuff that you like. When you've made those lists, then you can decide which ones you want to buy. You can kind of go pros and cons. If you don't do that, you are going to forget. Oh, hang on a minute. I was going to buy that trick that was from that stand. I can't remember where that stand is. I can't even remember the name of the dealer. But if you make notes on anything, you can go back for the stuff that you want. And if you leave it until the next day, you can go back and you can speak to people in the Ruskin that maybe have bought it, and they can kind of give you a review based on kind of an opening of the box to see if it's any good or not. Now, leaving things until the last day can sometimes be a good idea, because dealers will want to make a deal. They want to take as few stock units back as they possibly can. So they will want to make a deal on that final day, but you run the risk of not having the thing that you want. It comes back to, if there's something you really want, pick it up, because there's a very good chance it won't be there. Last year on the Magic TV stand, on the Alakazam stand, I was selling Apparition, and so many people they're going to come back, and I was like, yeah, cool. Sold out halfway through day 2. They weren't able to get Apparition. So if there's something you really want, get it. Cool, by all means, but only if you really want it. But other than that, make lists, and kind of it'll allow you to prioritize what you're going to buy versus what you're not going to buy. And in terms of making lists and being organized, you can also research things. You know, there's going to be a lot of people talking about new tricks that are going to be coming out at Blackpool. I'm going to be putting a ton of videos up about new tricks that are happening at Blackpool. I'm going to be doing some videos and some interviews with some of the dealers and the movers and the shakers in the magic industry about what their 2024 Blackpool releases are. So do some research and kind of go, right, that looks good, that looks good. I'm going to go over to Mark Mason's stand first of all, then I'm going to circle back to Pete Niley's. I'm going to go over to Penguin. I'm going to go to Magic TV. I'm going to go here, there, everywhere. You know, you want to kind of do that, right? That's kind of what you want to do. Be organized with this stuff. Next point, don't be afraid to go up to your heroes. One of the nice things about the Blackpool Magic Convention is the heroes, the people that we look up to, the greatest magicians of all time, are just hanging out at the convention. Some of them are lecturing, but some are just there as punters. Danny Goldsmith was here last year just as a punter. You're going to have some big names, and they're going to be hanging out at the Winter Gardens. They're going to be hanging out at the convention. In all likelihood, they're going to be in a bar later on, maybe at the Ruskin, or maybe at the House of Secrets. Don't be afraid to hang out with them. If they're sitting at a table doing some card tricks, ask them if they can join. If you can join in. Most of the people are going to be very, very friendly. Now, don't interrupt them if they look like they're busy. I never forget, a couple of years ago, I was on the phone. It was an emergency. I had an entertainer that was running late for a gig. I was trying to deal with it, and I had this guy saying, "Hey, Craig, I'd like to speak to you." I was like, "Yeah, give it 5 minutes." And he just really was angry and was like, "Well, you don't have to ignore me. I'm kind of in the middle of something. I'm really not ignoring you. I've got a crisis that I'm trying to deal with." So if they look busy, cool, But other than that, if they don't look busy, go and hang out with them. You'll regret it if you don't. If there's people that you really admire in the magic community and they're there, sit down and have a chat with them. Next one, spend time in the House of Secrets and the Ruskin. Those are kind of the two big bars as far as I'm concerned. The House of Secrets is in just outside the Winter Garden, Russ Brown's House of Secrets, and the Ruskin is about 5 minutes walk away on Albert Road. Those are the two big convention meetups and hangouts. Probably the Ruskin, well, definitely the Ruskin is the biggest one, but you kind of get some of the big names going into the House of Secrets because it's quieter and they're not going to get mobbed. Either way, go there. This should be part of your convention experience. Some of the best things I've ever seen at Blackpool happen when I'm at the Ruskin and I'm hanging out with the guys at the Ruskin. I'm watching them and I'm seeing them and I'm seeing some of the stuff that happens. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And there's always something that everybody wants to see, and there's a lot of buzz, and you can hang out with so many people. If you don't go to the Ruskin, if you don't go to the House of Secrets, if you don't hang out and meet these people, you're not having the full Blackpool experience. So go to the Ruskin, go to the House of Secrets, hang out and see some of the stuff that some people would say is the highlight of their convention. Next point, dress warm. Blackpool is freezing in February. I'll say that again. Blackpool is freezing in February. It is so cold. It's on the beachfront, Arctic winds. Honestly, it's terrible. You want to dress warm, especially if you're coming from somewhere like a warm country like California or something. Dress warm. You are going to freeze your ass off. Have a good winter coat, and you are going to be walking around outside. It's not like Magic Live where you can go and not feel the heat because you can be in the hotel the whole time and it's all air conditioned. You are going to have to walk outside of that convention. At some point, you're going to be outside, and when you are, without gloves and a scarf and a hat and a winter jacket, you are probably going to end up turning into an icicle. Dress warm. Next point, try and get some sleep. Because if you don't, you're just going to be in a delirious state. I've seen so many people that come to Blackpool. They go to the Ruskin at 6 until 6 in the morning. They're up at 9 going into the convention. Then they're up at... And then by day 3, they've just zonked. And I've got a friend whose name will remain nameless that completely missed the final day of the convention and all the lectures and everything because they just powered straight through for 2 days and then just crashed and woke up at like 9 o'clock at night on the Sunday. Try to allocate some sleep during the course of the convention. Okay, next point, don't be smelly. This is a very simple point, but it's very, very important. Do not be smelly. I've been trying to convince Blackpool every single year to give every single convention goer a bottle of Lynx or something to wear as or use over the course of the weekend, because honestly, the stench in that dealer room is horrific. Have a shower, make sure that you get a room with a shower, have a shower every morning, freshen yourself up. Honestly, please try not to stink, because it's very easy to stink. You know, Blackpool attracts stinky magicians. So please don't stink. Try to stay clean at the Blackpool Magic Convention. Okay, next point, arrive early. I've talked about this very, very briefly earlier on, but there's a lot that happens at the Blackpool Magic Convention. You want to arrive as early as you possibly can. I do a meetup on the Wednesday. If you're new to Blackpool Magic Convention, it's great to come and do the meetup with me and Jake Keane and Lloyd Barnes. Arrive early, arrive early, arrive early. There's a lot that happens on the Thursday. You can get your badge early, you can register early so you can get straight in on the Friday. Yeah, and there's also an auction on the Thursday. I've never been, it's not my style, but it does attract a lot of people. There's a massive auction that takes place most of the day, and there's a lot of meetups, and the Ruskin and the House of Secrets are going to be buzzing as well, and they're going to be open until very, very late. So arrive early. Next point, drink lots. I'm not talking about drinking lots in the Ruskin. That's what everyone's going to do anyway. I'm talking about drinking lots of water. It's a long day. Remember to hydrate. You know, it's very easy to run from one thing to another. Where are you going? I'm going to be at the bear pit in 10 minutes. Where are you going now? I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be over there. It's very easy to just forget to drink. But try to remember to drink lots. It's very, very important. Yeah, drink lots and try to stay healthy. Okay, the next point is very, very important. Don't get angry at the organisers. Every year, there's something that happens that pisses people off, whatever it may be, and they end up going on about the organisers and, oh, if I was doing this. First of all, anybody who says if I was doing this or if I was organising this has no idea what they're talking about, because frankly, the level of organisation that it takes to pull off the Blackpool Magic Convention is just incomprehensible. It is a very difficult thing to do, and the team that pull this off, Guy Barrett, Russ Brown, Russ Stevens, and all of the Blackpool Magic Club that assist those three do an incredible job, and it wouldn't happen without them. Don't get angry at the organisers. If you're unhappy about something, have a quiet word with them, and I'm sure they can straighten it out. What you don't want to do is go on a hate-fueled rant on Facebook about how Blackpool are the worst organised thing in the world, because it's frankly, it's not true, and you're making yourself look a bit of a dick. And with that point, that's the next point. The next point, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick, don't be a dick, don't be a dick. It's very easy to be a dick at Blackpool, especially if you've just drunk 4,397 pints in a 15-minute period, which can happen. Don't be a dick. You know, bear in mind, there's a lot of new people in Magic that are coming to Blackpool for the first time. There's a lot of new people, a lot of people that are nervous. Don't be the big Jimmy Big Bollocks. Don't be all intimidating. Don't be that guy. Be a nice person. On that point, don't be nervous. If you're coming to Blackpool for the first time, please don't be nervous. I said at the very beginning of the video, don't be overwhelmed. It's very easy to be overwhelmed. It's also very easy to be nervous. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people to see. It's very easy to retreat into a bubble. Please don't do that. Have fun, network, hang out with other like-minded magicians. Go watch some really cool magic. Go buy some stuff that you probably won't use. But don't be nervous about it, you know, because if you're nervous, you'll probably end up not doing everything you wanted to do. You'll regret it. You won't be hanging around the person that you really wanted to meet. Just don't be nervous. And the final and the most important point is have fun. It's very important to have fun at the Blackpool Magic Convention. You've spent money to be here. You've spent money on accommodation. It's probably crappy accommodation, but you spent money on accommodation. You spent money on feeding yourself while you're here, buying magic tricks, buying a ticket. Just remember to have fun. It's very, very important to have fun while you're at the Blackpool Magic Convention. So there you go, guys. That's the 2024 Blackpool Magic Convention guide from Magic TV, the Survivor's Guide, the guide to making sure that you have a great time. Look, at the end of the day, Blackpool Magic Convention is amazing. It is Christmas for magicians, and if you've never been before, I guarantee you whatever you expect, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be 20 times better. And if you've been there before, you'll know what it's like. It's absolutely amazing. So make sure that you have a great time, and make sure you come and see me. Now, I'm going to be running around all over the place. Please don't be offended if I haven't got time to talk. Ryland's on the Alakazam stand. I'm on the Alakazam stand. I'm on the Penguin Magic stand. I'm on the Magic TV stand. I'm helping with the Magic Podcast meetup. I'm running that with Jake, obviously. I'm also going to be helping Ryland because he's in the Family Entertainer of the Year competition. I'm going to be stressed out about that. I'm going to be stressed out about the Bear Pit and Matt in the Bear Pit. There's a lot of stuff going on. And if I'm running around from one place to another, I honestly don't mean to be rude, but by Saturday afternoon, everything that stresses me out should be over. But please come and hang out and say hi. I love magic. I love the magic community, and I'd love nothing better than to hang out and show you guys card tricks and coin tricks. But if I'm running off to another position or another place, I'm not being rude. It just means I've got to run off to be somewhere else. But have an amazing time. Thank you once again for tuning into Magic TV. Don't forget, if you want to join the Nettricks, you can do so by going to www.thenettricks.com. It's my online streaming platform. There's literally hundreds of tricks on there, and we add more every single day. So go and check that out, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig. I'm excited. It's Blackpool soon, but right now, this is Magic TV.